Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the UKLC Relegation series. I'm still Viperio and joined by Jamada. I'm a little offended, though, as moving towards the second one. Just before I came back on, Jamada was watching some of those clips from the final between Resolve and London and was saying, that's the most fun I've ever had casting. And Jamada,
Look.
Excuse me?
Look, it's the first finals I've done since one UKL final, maybe, but I think I've always been stripped away from the opportunity to do UKL finals, bar like one. And I mean, it was a 5-game series, which everyone thought Resolve was just going to 3-0. So I mean, it was pretty fun. You can't fault me for that. But hey, we're here to pick some bans. I believe we are swapping sides. I think Bulldog.
Yeah, Bulldog are now on the red side.
To be on red. Yeah. So curious to see how that's going to swap up priorities here, not just in bans but also in picks, if at all, really. But one thing that still remains is the Lilia and the Hecarim will be off the table. Also, a Camille ban coming out onto Hachi, which, from memory, I don't think Hachi's actually played a Camille ban. So, Camille had Camille in his hands even once this split. So, we're curious to see that one coming through. It could be signaling to something early on, like the Nah potentially, but teams have had a very varied opinions on how high Pyro this Nah pick is. Of course, we're on 11.62, so he has been sort of nerfed a tad, but if he was watching the NLC finals, you would have seen Nah was basically just first pick or banned. So curious to see what the pick will be there, as Johnny Rico's not going to be getting his Graves again, and I don't think he will if this goes to a game 3 either for the remainder of the night.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief, as the Fresh will be the final ban away. Rel also taken off the table this time round. Poke on that one will not be given the option once again, and Viperio will have to decide what is the priority. What do they want to see picked up in this first rotation? A couple of strong options, a couple of good champions. Seraphine, notably.
Yeah, Seraphine is up. So is Tristana. Yeah, there you go. So is Tristana. And it's just kind of the way that Bulldog decided to ban out the Graves and then also the Thresh from red side once the Rel was gone. It just left that champion open. But now that they've picked up the Tristana, of course, you can now look towards the Seraphine yourself. And we've seen Shiklin, I believe, play it, and he had a pretty okay game on it. I believe played it in the start of the split during the relegations, and then I think he had a game somewhere in the regular split where it looked pretty good. But Poke coming into the split was also an Enchanter player, so this could be either for Shiklin or Poke. I don't see VUC playing this one because it's VUC. He wants to deal damage. As I do like this Alistar pickup. I think it's the highest priority support left up and available with Rel and Thresh off the table. So I think a very strong rotation coming out from Bulldogs, and Viperio can respond here quite well. They've got a couple of support options still available, and I think with the Seraphine being there and you already have the Tristana, you can probably just blind pick your strongest available jungler too of the support.
Yeah, could do, but could also look towards something like the Karma, give that massive flexibility and really not giving anything away. That could be a bot lane, that could be a mid and top, that could be pretty much anything.
It could be anywhere except the jungle, so...
Well, you lack imagination.
Oh, okay. But Viperio holding their cards very close to their chest right now. We'll have to see what this next rotation, this next pick is, to see if it will actually give us any information on the full rotation here, as time is ticking. Let's see what it is. It's going to be the Volibear, so I mean, even on 11.6, this could be jungle, this could be top lane, so we'll have to wait and see for this B4, B5 before we actually get some kind of confirmation on where things are going. For Bulldog, though, it does make this R3 pick kind of irritating, kind of sort of jarring to lock in. You could just probably lock in, I suppose, those Zion's highest preferred jungler, given what's off the table, but at the same time, VUC, after that Samira performance, I'm not too surprised to also see that one be locked in.
Yeah, and I'm not too surprised to see the Azir being banned away as well after Killigan's performance on that champ. But Bulldog kind of giving away their hand in terms of where all these champions are going, and Viperio really not giving anything away as they go for a lot of flexible pickups, and Aatrox and Azir take it off the table.
Yeah, I would expect Bulldog to maybe remove away. I mean, it's kind of tough because they want to lock in most likely their jungler and top laner, but they're actually going towards this Malphite ban themselves, and with the Volibear there, I'd expect Viperio to perhaps ban away the Nah. I think that would be probably the safest ban you can get, especially if they are preemptively planning to send this Volibear into the top lane. I think it would just be the safest thing to do. Let's see though, Hachi hasn't necessarily been too pressed in champion pool throughout the UKLC. I don't think he necessarily has the most champions played. So I could be eating my words, but it's actually going to be the Jarvan ban again. Not willing to give that engage option over to Zion. So let's see what it is here. We could see Zion or Hachi's pick locked in. Viperio's opening gambit here makes it just so difficult to actually kind of put a finger on where these champions are going to be going.
Udyr gonna be the one locked in. Was something that was banned away last time very early on and made it all the way through. So going to be giving that one over to Zion. A lot of engage and a nice little pickup in the jungle. Now Viperio have to give us some answers in terms of what their composition actually looks like.
Yeah, they are. And they're going to have to answer into an Udyr with not too many fast clearers available unless they put Volibear into the jungle. But even then, Udyr will still out-tempo the volley, as it looks like we are just going to get the Orianna run back, but this time it'll be Killikin highlighting that one, and not too opposed to it. It does mean that this Tristana is going to be going into the bottom lane against the Samira Alistar, and I guess this is where we're going to get to see where the Karma's going, where the Volibear is going. As the time is ticking, I think honestly you can probably run the Karma in the bottom lane, but when you have Tristana, you probably want to run a kill lane, as it doesn't seem like Viperio feel the same way. They want to block in this Gnar safe top side. We know how blindable this champion is, and with so many top lane bans sort of gone through, Hachi's gonna have to go a little deep into the champion. What? Oh, he's gonna throw down the gauntlet with the Irelia. I love that pick coming out here. It's just such an irritating lane for Mini-Gnar to play out. Mega Gnar has some answers naturally, as Mega Gnar almost always has answers into a lot of the lanes, but Mini-Gnar really vulnerable to being run down in the lane against this Irelia. So much mobility just makes it near impossible to actually pilot the lanes. So I think we've got, again, another interesting set of drafts coming out from both teams, but this time a little less defined on either side. So I think this is going to be a very scrappy game, much like what we saw last time around, but one poor fight isn't going to be the end of either team.
And that was kind of the worry for Bulldog last time around, was when they started losing a couple of fights here and there. It was like, oh, well, the gold lead's not that big, but it's kind of over because Viperio have just a composition that works so well in this kind of situation. And then Viperio threw, and then Bulldog threw it back, and then we had the whole situation that Jamad was just screaming during the breaks that we had. But this time around, as you said, the compositions are much less defined. They aren't really as easy to put into a box of this comp wants to do X, this comp wants to do Y. So let's start with Viperio's composition and what they're looking to do this game. How do they come through and take this series 2-0 off the back of this draft?
I think they're probably looking to play through Gregors here. I think you can probably leave this Gnar kind of to its own devices, although it can be risky leaving an Irelia into the Gnar. I think if Infor can lane, he should be okay. He should be fine. But I think you want to probably just set up this Tristana for success, because the dive options are there for Bulldog, yes, but if they can't set up the vision for Hachi in particular that actually have flank angles, then it's all going to have to be frontal, and Gregor should be able to react to that. So I think if you just put resources into what kind of looks like a draft centered around their AD carry anyway, they should be okay. And I think on the other side for Bulldog, I think you have a lot of options. You can play through this top lane very heavy-handedly. You can really get this Irelia going, and then she becomes a very hard champion to take down. Or you can play towards the bottom side, where Parse honestly can be somewhat abused. All it really takes is the flash blown once, and then all of a sudden poke. Assuming that they do have the Hex Flash available, it's always easy to just sort of set up an engage fight down there.
Mr. Jamada, as we move on to the Rift, everybody, Viperio on the blue side, Bulldog on the red, second game of this best of 3 series. I'm not a League of Legends savant. It must be said, I'm not an analyst. I shout at the team fights and host the desks and stuff.
Yeah.
Minions have spawned.
Alistair's keystone
is Phase Rush, yeah.
What's the logic behind Phase Rush on the Alistair?
Phase Rush is pretty common. It's kind of the second choice, or in some honestly support Alistar's preferences the first choice. When you're into so much potential range, just having the Phase Rush available, it's so easy to proc, means that you can always get that trample stun down over the Aftershock, which, yes, the Aftershock will give you more survivability and more tank options, but sometimes just being able to follow up on CC is the more preferential choice for a lot of Alistar players, and that's why we're seeing it come out here. Definitely not too big a head scratcher, Will. Don't worry. Okay.
You know, I just sometimes you see something in the corner of your eye, and you're like, right, just need to make sure that nothing's amiss here, because it's UK League of Legends. Sometimes we're the first to detect. We were the first region to show the Garen Yumi, lest anyone forget. But we've also been the region to show some stuff that hasn't, taken off so much, like the collective 600 health starting of Baron. That is a hallmark of the UK scene.
Yes, very much.
So, as we jump into this one, where should we keep our eyes? What's the most interesting early game area of this map?
I mean, for me, it's probably going to be the top lane, because I really are into the likes of this Mininar. If Hachi is able to find just one solo kill, all of a sudden the lane just explodes open. It becomes so difficult to even exist in this lane if you're in Mininar, and you don't really have many options for survival. You have the hop, and that's kind of it. That's all you're kind of afforded. And if Hachi is very patient on timing the flawless duets, then he's going to find them more often than not. I think on the bottom side, Viperio, they're going to have priority almost always, just because of how the level 1 to 2 can play out. They are kind of being a little more respectful now, because it's not like this bottom lane has no kill threat at all, but they're also waiting for Johnny Rico to potentially gank this lane, but the ward is going to kind of just spot this one out. And they will show themselves, likely just shove in this wave and secure some priority to make sure Johnny Rico can pick up the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, and getting priority in a minute and a half for the Dragon as well will not be a bad thing. Shiklin, already teleporting back to mid lane, has picked himself up a tier as Zion is looking to run on through to mid lane. Killican needs to be careful, but Volibear is there, and he's the bear 100% of the time, but Ood is only at 25%, so we'll be able to scare him away.
Yeah. There you go. Even Hachi finding the better end of a trade, despite taking a tower shot. As Zion wants to make this dive happen, but the mana on Hachi just isn't quite there yet, so...
He's being chased away. The flash, the bear slap, the damage coming through, and Ford jumps away. Zion takes the second tower shot and will be forced back. Killikin turning up to make sure that everything's okay with his top lane buddy. And everyone's backing away, but a dive that wasn't necessarily on the cards from the offset doesn't go Bulldog's way.
Yeah, I mean, if this is pre-planned out, truly, then it's a very easy to execute dive. Just walk in on the Udyr, you set the Irelia up for the flawless duet stun, and it's just too much CC for Infor to ever survive. Even if he leaps away, there's too much mobility available to Hachi once that CC actually comes through to ever survive it. And even in a situation where it wasn't even necessarily the most optimal setup, you saw Infor almost still nearly died. But you can take it as a win, because not only did he blow Hachi's flash, he also took Zion's off the table, which means his ganks are just going to be less threatening elsewhere on the map.
Folk hanging around in the river, in the bush, even? Not in the river, opposite side of the lane. Come on, Viper, get it together. As we see, everything's kind of pretty quiet right now. There was that attempted top lane dive that we just saw, but past that, there hasn't really been any real fighting, real scrapping. And is there something that we can expect from this game? It being pretty slow, more about wave management than taking fights?
Potentially. I mean, I think when you've got Orianna plus Seraphine mid, you almost always have to wait till level 6. You've got a bottom lane where if Gregors and Harsey play it well, which for the most part they have been, it's very it's not interactive for VUC and Poke. They have to force the issue, which they just haven't really, it seems, found an opportunity or an angle to do so. So we end up in scenarios where, as you can see, they're just forced off waves. Eventually it will shove in just because of the nature of Tristanity and Karma together. Just looking for Poke. And I mean, realistically, the only place I was expecting Ashen was just going to be on the top side, and we almost had it, but sort of miscommunication just means that there was no full-on dive being executed. But you can see on the top side, I think the wave is shoving in. Viperio taking this opportunity as they know Zion is on the top side to take up the dragon, but this wave stacked. Zion can come into the top lane. It's mini Nargs, remember, no flash available.
Lots more mana this time on Hachi as well, but he's going to jump off the top of a minion, and a decent slow coming through from Killican over the wall will mean that this fight will be dissuaded from Bulldog. Viperio being a little bit more confident to maraud forward, but only just going to chase Bulldog past their tower and pick up the wave. And once again, Zion left wanting on the top side, but this time, Viperio pick up a dragon.
Yeah, Viperio do get themselves a dragon, so it's not doom and gloom entirely. They do make sure that their top laner's punishment is for something, as he is down about 20 CS through a lot of these ganks and just the pressure of the lane in general. Really much that he can do to respond unless Hachi just makes an error whilst he's in Meganar. I think we're just going to be for a quiet one until someone just decides that they have to go. That's kind of it. I don't think the lanes are interactive enough while this top side for something crazy explosive to occur.
And yeah, I mean, that'll suit both teams fine for now. You've got a little bit of a gold lead on Bulldog at this very second, but it's early on into the game and it's just been farming, so nothing to write home about. But, you know, slower games can be fun. You've got a little bit of time just to see how these two teams are playing against each other, and of course Viperio don't want to throw away their lead in this series. They're 1-0 up in a best of 3. Bulldog need to be reserved because they don't want to throw away their opportunity to stay in this top bracket for as long as possible. I mean, realistically, as harsh as it's going to sound, Bulldog threw away the last game that these two teams played against each other not that long ago. So don't want to be doing this, making the same mistakes again.
Yeah, no, it's not harsh, it's just fact. They didn't have to start that Baron, and they did. So they now sit 0-1 in the series, as that control ward is
sad.
Very unfortunately in comparison to where that trinket is for Bulldog. So full information on where Johnny Rico is, and Zion waiting in the wings in case any shenanigans occur.
Engage coming through actually from Poke, is going to back away immediately. The ult comes out and Johnny Rico will help pick up first blood. It's going to be Dregus grabbing that one, uses his ultimate to get Zion away, and you know, they had full information, but they still went for the engage and they still lost first blood.
Yeah, they certainly did. Went for the turn, felt like they would win the 3v3. And Zion, unfortunately, just couldn't ever really be there sooner than Johnny Rico, despite the close proximity of the two. Which meant Poke didn't even really get to flash out. He just died, accepted his fate. And very strange, once again, from Bulldog to want to force that play out. But this time again, the composition's not as punishing, just because of how Viperio have ended up drafting this time around. There is no collective peel back per se from either side. So it just means that the more these teams butt heads, it's just going to end up being more of an execution battle more than anything else. Poke actually rotated up to the top side here, whereas Vayusi still on the bottom side. So Bulldog actually doing what I prefer teams tend to do around these heralds, where you send the support up to the top side, you leave the AD carry on the bottom side to farm up, and as long as they're not under any crazy dive threat, you're almost always going to come out as a surplus, because AD carries typically in this meta are kind of win conditions. And the herald is only 320 guaranteed plate gold at its bare minimum, and can of course be counted out. As long as you don't lose members, the gold trades will almost always be positive.
Unless you've got like a really freak Rift Herald that's getting a lot of towers on the inners as well, but Herald not actually going to be attacked by anyone too much. It's going to be resetting towards its pit as Poke is poked away, and Viperio happily take the fight back to the mid side. But it is good to leave your marksman down the bot side. You summed it up perfectly, and when you've got the Samira versus Tristana, both marksmen can threaten the other, but they could also disengage quite well, so there's not really too much opportunity for either to die, which means they're grabbing this gold, especially if the Rift Herald isn't even going to be successfully taken by either team. It's a really, really smart play.
Yeah, it's just a skill check between the two AD carries. Neither one can really be threatened too hard by one another, as... Okay, so Zion snuck in here. Doesn't want to advance too far forward, I think. Wants to use Vayusi as bait. But Vayusi already stepping too far forward disrespectfully to give away the fact that the play could be happening. And this is priority here on the bottom side. Looks like Bulldog setting up for this dragon. But Poke
Johnny Rico diving on through, getting on top of Poke. A lot of damage is being dealt out. Greg needs one more auto attack, won't be able to find it. The explosion probably will not be enough, but Zion not going to be dragged back in. Actually will be enough to pick up the first kill of the fight as Shiklin moves on through. So many members of Bulldog on this bot side, riding this trap, looking for Johnny Rico. He will flash over the wall. Greg caught out with the ultimate from Aurelio, and the Dragon is fuming. Gonna get another auto in. Hachi dives him from the shutdown. Jamana loses his mind. The fight continues as Infor moving down the river, looking to keep the rest of his team happy and peeled as they throw Poke down towards this Dragon. He's already taken 1 life so far this fight and might look to take another one before going down. But you see Gonlo Infor is getting angry and angry with every single auto, looking to get the engage on Hachi. Diving through, Solo goes down to Haas on the Karma. Zion in the pit will also go down. Dragon gets another assist. Diving on through, massive ultimate will cleave through Viperio. The double there, Shiklin will go down, but it's just going to be a very low Johnny Rico. The triumph keeps him alive as Infor goes a little past the walk away. Dragon picking up a double there and lives to tell the tale.
Oh, I am in pain, Viperio. And it seems like at the end of it all, Viperio are gonna win out on this. Oh no!
I know the Dragon. He's got.
No, they've got it. They've got it. It's fine. That's gonna be the second Dragon for the good of Viperio here. The end of the shenanigans. Let's see what Dragon it's gonna be. It's gonna be the Infernal Soul. So. Gonna be very interesting. I'm so glad the replay starts from here and not from
what does it show the Tristana?
As it's Bulldog kind of committing onto this Dragon, feeling like they can keep Viperio zoned out, but they just don't really have the zoning tools available to them anymore. There's no Encore available. They don't really have the Alistar in a position for a super good flank, initially at least. And now Hachi
needs to be careful diving through. Gregors needs to be very, very careful. Wrongs up the lane, jumps into the waiting embrace of the Udyr. The stun comes out, Poke's still alive, and Bulldog pick up the perfect crime, a kill for none, and will walk away.
I don't know who's committing more crimes, to be honest.
Take them both to jail.
Yeah, just honestly, get them both in cuffs. That's what needs to happen right now. As Gregors does eventually die, it's just very comically played out is all, as I think hopefully we have a little bit of respite now to kind of evaluate where we sort of sit at the end of all of these shenanigans. It's sort of 2 mythics to 1 at the moment, as Infor is gonna whiff on that ultimate. As Johnny Rico though is waiting in the wings. Poke is also here.
Yeah, it will be a 2v2. The tower's being turned off by UC, stunned up for days, and damage comes down. The ultimate will do nothing as he falls, and Poke's going to be dragged back in with the shockwave, and Killigan throws one more cog into the works, grabs himself another. And that is going to be 2 kills on the top side, going over to Viperio. Hachi on the bot side, not able to get a return. And Johnny Rico might have actually found out Zion in the jungle. It's Bear v Bear, red buff getting involved too. But with Infor diving on through, Killigan also in the neighborhood, but Shiklin riding on up, and the volley bar actually doing so much damage, is surviving and will be able to pick up the kill. And now Shiklin forced away from the red. It will reset, but Johnny Rico will keep on at it. Viperio turned up the pace after that Dragon fight. It spun them on, and they're getting play after play now.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Bulldog up.
Another.
Okay, well.
Are you okay?
Yeah, how's your day been?
A drink?
How's your day?
You know what? It's been good busy day at work, but now we're here watching some League of Legends, and you know, it's always a good time. Watch some European Masters at the end of work as well. First day of play into that one. Go Skidder and Method to Madness.
Yeah.
You know, good times. But I mean, there's some League of Legends being played. One team is playing more League of Legends than the other right now.
That's a stretch.
Well, this is the dissonance, I think, because I play like gold plat elo. Why are we getting a replay? What do we need a replay of? Okay, it's the top lane dive. Talk us through it.
That's what do we need a replay of? It's just about used to getting one shot on Poke. I mean, he tries his best to disrupt this dive from happening, but I mean, quite frankly, is basically just serving himself up as a beef burger as engage forward.
Once again, might be a beat burger, but here comes the bear on the backside. Vayusi gets the kill alongside Diane. And actually going to be able to pick up another one, but Johnny Rico keeps slapping away. Shiklin throws out the ultimate and catches out both. Damage coming through. Poke still alive somehow as Killigan dancing around under tower. Volibear so tanky. Looks to continue the fight. Killigan will be focused down by Shiklin. A couple more autos will have been enough, but the shield comes through. Volibear still slapping. Killigan picks up the kill. And Johnny Rico out of mana, out of options, will finally back away. Hachi could be looking for the play. Saint or Sinner, which will it be? Puts down one stun, but decides he's a smarter man than last play, as he's going to just help take out the tower.
Hachi's cast his ultimate in the last 30 seconds, and he's been off camera, so I'm not sure when or why he did, but that's a discussion for another time. Bulldog find a real nice combo here, and Johnny Rico interrupts the Inferno trigger, keeping Hastei alive for a few more seconds before the Smite ultimately steals his fate. And again, Vayusi honestly mechanically plays that well, recognizes he's probably going to die, so he just takes out Gregors with him. And the beat drop in tune with that Pulverize means that the Viperio members were CC'd up, but the Bear Slap wasn't able to come down in time onto Killikin to actually secure his fate. And Johnny Rico, so tanky, so much sustain coming through with the Frenzied Mauls. And Killikin has enough damage to finish up that Udyr. I believe didn't actually have much MR available to him before that fight outside of the Chem Tank. I think just now picking up the Negatron Cloak, which meant he was a very squishy member into Killikin. And Viperio actually have the inside track here, but this could be a potential flank for Hachi. He has the teleport, but no ultimate available. That's the key thing.
Not on vision though. He's going to be coming in the darkness. Gregors needs to be careful. The wall comes down, giving up his position as Tristana is forced back. Poke re-engaging, but it's very, very low. And Johnny Rico gets the ultimate to start the fight off. Proper stunned up though as Hachi in the backline. Zion in the backline, but they're both going to go down to one bomb as Viperio will chase Bulldog away, mauling as they go. Johnny Rico is furious at Vayusi as Poke will go down for the double. And can Samira get away? I don't think she can. Many members of Viperio are chasing on through. Johnny Rico just going to be tanking up the tower, gets a stun, gets the ace for Viperio. Dragon on the menu too, but they have gone from strength to strength this series and they're in a dominant position.
They are in a very dominant position. Honestly, in this second game, have just kind of been outclassing Bulldog in almost every exchange. And honestly, the gold difference, the gold lead for Viperio doesn't actually really spell that much of a story, but it also means Bulldog have an opportunity potentially to come back into the game if the gold is that close. Have the replay on our screens, and honestly, Johnny Rico just keeps poke in place. The on-call was nice, and honestly, it's just I don't know what the backline divers of Bulldog are doing so far forward in a scenario where they're never really going to receive much additional support. Ultimate from Gregor's pushed, I believe, Hachi also into the Shockwave, setting it up, an alley-oop, if you may, for that double Shockwave to pick up two members. And Viperio just trying to chase everybody down. They don't want a single member alive. And they pick up the ace, pick up the dragon that puts them one away from this soul. 16-6. Only a 2k gold lead, as I was talking about before the replay, but it just feels kind of not necessarily out of reach yet, but very far gone, as you can see the damage, the threat out of Hachi is there, but quite frankly, I don't think Infor really cares too much anymore.
Vayusi, not in the best position, will be stunned up, but Pope will headbutt the bear over the wall and keeps the marksman alive once again. 20 minutes into this one, 16-6 on the scoreline. A minute gold lead for Viperio, but as you say, it feels like it's much, much more at this point. And last game we were talking about that very much because of the team compositions, but this time around the comps aren't really built to do that, as Hachi actually diving in onto Infor, who will be able to flash away. Isn't particularly angry though and could well be cut down. Goes Mega at the final second and looks to scarf under the tower, but the tower's not there. Diving on in, Hachi picks up the kill this time around, but it was much, much closer than you might expect it in the mid lane. This isn't close. Shickling goes down under a swarm of Viperio members in retaliation.
And Hachi's on the bottom side with no teleport, and Zion's also just counter jungling right now. So I mean, Baron for Viperio could be a realistic start, and Vayusi's even reset.
Buddy? UK teams don't know how to play around Baron. I've said it once, I'll say it again, but Viperio know exactly what they're doing. Starting this one up and doing it pretty quickly, hatching the bot side, trying to get something for this worm, but not going to be able to grab too much. You can see Zion hanging around the back of the pit. Could look to try and steal away. Teleport coming on through. Info wants to get involved in this play. As Susie Hatchie recalling now. Could look to try and come in. Doesn't have teleport though, so it will be a long walk. But Viperio have peeled off a little bit. Poke looking for the engage, goes very, very low and will be taken down. Viperio actually going to be peeling away from the objective as Bulldog has successfully stopped it. All it took was throwing their support on the fire. Viperio grab themselves a kill, but not the objective.
But the kill on the pressure is all they really need in this scenario, Will, and they will pick up this mid-tier 1. It's going to open up the map a little more for them, as Bulldog have actually been leading in towers for the majority of this game. So taking down that mid-tier 1 is going to give them a little more freedom to operate on this map. As, I mean, I feel Viperio could have even just finished off the Baron there realistically, but after seeing Bulldog through the game the last time around, I think thinking better of it this time around.
I don't know what it is about UK teams. I'm not sure. This is the thing. I'm feeling very at home here on the UKLC broadcast because teams in the UKL do this week in, week out.
Yeah.
The Viperio actually pretty criminal over themselves at times, it must be said. But this time around, they've definitely looked the stronger of these two teams.
Yes, they are certainly looking the stronger today, that's for sure. And I said, honestly, you could toss a coin today and you would have better luck at finding, or no better luck at finding who would likely win out, in my opinion. Today, Bulldog just have not showed up to play, it seems. Now, again, I will emphasize the gold difference isn't that large, but Bulldog have just been playing in such a disconjointed manner.
Rico looking to get the fight started. Poke goes big and tanky as Zion looking on the side but can't find a stun. But the teleport on the back. What can Hatchie get here? Nice two-man stun as Schickling grabbed into the wall. Watch the Irelia diving on through the fight. A massive beat drop there as Zion goes through. But this one looks much, much better for Bulldog. Haas hiding in the pit but will be found out by Viperio eventually. Does manage to flash over the wall, but Info trying to claw his way away. Haas might look to try and give him a way out but could also die for his troubles. Nah will be getting the slow assistance from Karma, forced to back away. Bulldog take the fight and could look to slow the dragon by picking one up for themselves.
This is what I was talking about. The gold difference isn't big enough for this game to be over, even though it feels so tremendously bad for Bulldog. And finally, Hatchie is able to flex his gold, his muscles. Oh, Hatchie secures it. It's almost Haste stealing that one away, but finally finds a flank angle. It's not a frontal engage anymore. And the Encore actually is layered on top of it to the point where the backline can't realistically survive. They're just not tanky enough. Starts off with the engage on the top side by that blue buff, and Zion, you know, buying enough time, but used as a trampoline to stun up the backline. But it doesn't really matter once that Vanguard's Edge and the Encore comes layered on top. The Shockwave isn't used to actually stop this dive from happening. And it's just free reign for Hatchie, for Viusi on this backline. Eventually, the shutdown even goes over to Hatchie onto Killikin on the top side. And it's just a very prolonged end to this fight. I think actually the Inferno Trigger slows Viusi down, but that's alright. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Fight 1, the dragon taken by Bulldog means that there's no Infernal Soul to have to deal with for the immediate future. Let's see how this one's played out. The Baron started up, and Poke seeing Gregor's walkover is enough information to prompt Poke to put another ward in so they know what's happening. On the bottom side though, Hatchie doesn't have teleport. Neither top laner does, so this is just a plain 4v4.
And the Baron has got exceptionally low 4k health as Poke might look to go over the wall. Gonna be looking at the side, looking for the flank. Johnny Rico gonna dive on in to start the fight. The Shockwave brings it through. Schickling getting a decent amount of damage. Here is Viusi looking to stack up, looking to get an ultimate. It's gonna fire it off onto no one. Poke goes down, Haas will burn. Support for support. As Viperio once again forced away from the Baron. Info holding on to mid, keeping Hatchie at bay as best he can. But the Irelia with the support of the team might look for the dive, might for damage, and that is a small Gnar who will go down after the flash comes through. Johnny Rico moving forward, trying to get revenge, but won't be able to find anyone this time around. Bulldog win the exchange 2-1.
Yeah, Viperio kind of stumbling here on somewhat shaky knees, allowing Bulldog to come back into this one. The Baron start you can kind of understand, but the fight just didn't go in their favor. Bulldog pick up members. It's a 1-for-1 trade initially, and then of course Info just dropped in that dive, and now Bulldog, oh, it's just a Baron game.
Yeah, it's, you know, this time they're very, very healthy though.
I can foretell it's a 3-man shockwave.
Okay. We'll have to see if that one does kick off as Johnny Rico looking to get through, but the Baron is going exceptionally low and could be smited away. It will be taken away by Bulldog as the fight kicks off. Damage coming through all over the map. Hatchie diving on through with impunity. Bayusi doing so much damage on the side as well. Has chased away. Killigan moving back. Gregors is still alive, but for how long as the Justala's forced to use the blast cone over the wall? Actually decides against looking maybe to collapse once again, but Bulldog have all 5 members standing. Viperio have lost 2. Their front line is dissembled, and they're going to be forced to defend these towers without them for the time being. This time around, Bulldog pull off the play, grab themselves the objective, and look to break the base.
Yeah, and this time around, Viperio don't have the kind of draft to deal with so much dive.
Well, that's a really nice one from Shitglin. It's going to catch out Gregors. That is the wave clear gone from Viperio. The Nexus will be laid bare. Haas is gone too. With Johnny Rico up, it might be able to survive with Nexus towers there. And Info stepping back onto the rip of the ult, but has been popped by Poke. It looks like they want to try and press through it. And at this game, Bulldog take the first Nexus tower and the fight. It's going to be a 3v5. Once again, Bulldog help us are not the biggest. There's the 3-man shockwave, which will take out 3 members of Bulldog. It looks like they bit off more than they could chew. As here comes the Gnar catching back onto Shicklin. There's the stun. There's the Quadra. Could we see a pentakill coming through from Killigan? Poke does not want to let it happen. Killigan dives forward. One more auto attack would be enough. Pentakill for Killigan as Viperio turn it around.
I told you, it might not have happened in front of the pit, but it happened in front of the Nexus. A 3-man shockwave to seal the fate of this fight for Bulldog. They lose the Baron buff. Yes, they open up the base, but that's a lot of gold to now throw into the pockets of the Viperio members. As you get the replay, the Baron burns down pretty quickly, and honestly, Bulldog, they have the Baron stats, and it's just quite frankly enough. Info isn't in Mega Knight. He doesn't even have the ultimate, even if he wanted to cast it anyway. And it just sends Viperio packing, and I mean, just the ball placement is just right to secure this shockwave onto low members. The burst damage is just there. Bulldog not able to survive the onslaught. The hop into the Gnar secures Shicklin into that tower. And it means the quadra kill comes down and they can just chase Poke down for this Penta. And now on live, it's Viperio in front of this Infernal, and Bulldog have to walk through the chokes.
Shockwave only lands onto one. Zion flashing forward, getting it onto Killigan. A decent amount of damage comes through, and Oriana is dissembled on the side. Johnny Rico standing as strong as he can, but Vyuzi is whipping around the fight. Everyone but Viperio falls. The Dragon resets as it's the clean ace for Bulldog off the back of a pentakill from Viperio. They will lose their Nexus, and Bulldog are going to take game number 2.
They are going to take game number 2 off the back of this push. Almost certainly, and what a crazy... Get me out of the game. I'm not sure I don't want to be on this roller coaster anymore, Will. As Zion doing his best to tank up towers. All 5 members of Bulldog here for the picture of them securing game number 2. What a crazy game it was. And again, I will reiterate, honestly, could have flipped the coin for either team here to win. As actually we have Viperio flare thrown up, but it is Bulldog that win this game. It is 1-1, and it means we are going to be going to a game 3. I don't know. We'll take it away.
I'm excited for a game 3 of this because I don't know how much more you can take. That was, again, a mad ending to the game, but both of these teams are delivering, and it's just been really, really enjoyable to watch. You've had Baron throws, pentakills, Dragon Souls, Dragon Denials, steals of objectives, massive team fights. This series has kind of had a little bit of everything, and we're going to attempt to break it down after a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.